to know that the Lord was fighting my battle with me, that I was not alone. This was March. I kept going. It wasn't until December of 2017 that we closed the second round of our Series A financing. 9 months later. Now, after that moment, I know I told you that I was about out of money. We had a little bit of sort of hope for success so that our existing investors gave us a short leash and a little bit of bridge financing to be able to keep going and kind of just puttering along. We completed our first close in July, but the second close and the full financing that was needed to actually operate the company forward-looking was not completed until 9 months later. And I tell you this story knowing that I risk you focusing on the wrong thing. And perhaps it's partially driven by the way that I told it. But I don't want you to focus on the fact that we raised. I don't want you to focus on the impression that I would receive. I want you to focus on the 9 months. Sometimes we focus so much on something to the exclusion of others that we miss the forest through the trees, we miss the 10,000-foot gorilla in the room. This is a screen grab from a video. Has anybody ever seen this video? Okay, most people have. For those of you who haven't, it's fascinating. It's a lesson on inattention blindness or situational awareness. And so, I don't know, it's like 3 or 4 minutes or so. What you have going on here is you have a group of people that are playing basketball. And as a viewer, as the test subject, your job is to pay attention to the people in white shirts and to count how many times they're passing the ball to each other at play here. And about halfway through, you have a woman in a gorilla suit who enters from stage right, walks across to the middle of the screen, stops, beats her chest a few times, and then exits. And the subjects who viewed this are asked what they saw. And you know, half of the people who watched this video never saw this gorilla beating their chest in the center of the screen. They were focusing on the wrong thing. And if you go back and you watch it a second time, knowing what you're looking for, it's painfully obvious. It's there. But that's the risk of focusing on the wrong place. That's the risk of getting ourselves so myopically focused on something that is not as important. And for me, for this story, what I would argue, and it's my story so I can argue it, is that the time that lapsed is the most important aspect. Because the greatest growth is not in the sign. The greatest growth occurs in patiently waiting and watching, in being able to reconcile faith and fear, doubt and determination, over and over and over again. We're in school here. We understand that the diploma is far less valuable to you in your learning and development and growth than were the years of patient study and sacrifice to get there. Yet we're wired to think about diplomas and signs and voices and lights as the things that really matters, when what's truly important is the process of getting there. Pain plus reflection equals progress. I want to promise you that the most profound moments of awakening and self-determination will come during those darkest times. Don't be afraid of them. Don't try to engineer them out of your lives. You have to struggle. You have to fight. And there will be times where you think that you cannot go on, where you think that you have nothing left to give, and you want to curl up on the floor and make it all go away. Trust me, I've been there. But in those moments of struggle, I promise you as well that you will find a deeper wellspring of strength than you ever thought possible. And there is no other way to discover that. I think we see this in the story of Nephi. In 3 Nephi chapter 1, we have a group of people that are patiently waiting for the sign of the Savior's birth. 5 years earlier, a prophet had come, Samuel, and said that there would be signs in the heavens, that there would be a new star, that there would be all of these cosmic displays that would be occurring to indicate to the people that this miracle had happened. For 5 years, they had to wait. Think about that. All the opposition, all the people telling him you're foolish, all the people saying he was a false prophet, you are crazy for believing him. Now a date has been set by the non-believers, not by Samuel, but by the non-believers, on which all of the faithful are going to be executed. And what do? They go into the city center, they kneel, they wait with swords over their heads for the moment of execution to occur. And what happens? The sun sets, but the sky does not darken, and there is a day, a night, and a day with no darkness. And again, in this story, at least myself, my tendency is to focus on that miracle. Oh, Samuel was right. But I think the real lesson here is in the 5 years that these faithful Nephites had to wait and had to struggle and had to develop for themselves a conviction that led to their behavior and their choices in that moment. That's the true miracle of the story. So to summarize, find rest in the Lord. Plan by principles. Lean in and be patient. I want to testify to you that life is hard. You know that. But it doesn't have to be frightening. That there is security in knowing what the Lord would have you do. And that with that perfect knowledge comes faith. Faith to do and to become and to accomplish and to go places that you never thought were possible. And to be honest, by ourselves, is not possible. But we can do far more through Christ who strengthens us. I'm grateful to BYU for the opportunity I had to study here and to learn some of those life principles and to carry it forward. And I appreciate the time I've had to spend with you today. Thank you.